Europe gave us so many castles that are just stunning and beautiful, magnificent, and most likely full of tortured souls. All right, today we're checking out some of the haunted castles throughout Europe. I'm really pumped for this one. I'm like a sucker for any like hauntings, dark spirit energy stuff going on. When I was a kid, we used to go to like haunted houses, haunted schools all throughout Southern California. And to imagine me being a young little lad going through a haunted castle in France or something just absolutely blows my mind. So without further ado, smash the like button. Let's dive in.
If I told you you could visit a castle that was believed to be built to seal the gateway to hell itself, well, you can, and this is how. And follow for more travel recommendations like this one. It's called Houska Castle, and what makes it really strange is that it was built in the middle of the woods, not on a trading route or protecting a city like castles normally are. And it doesn't have any normal castle things in it either, like a well. The local legend says it's because the castle wasn't built to keep people out, but to keep something in. Right under it, there is a pit so deep that you can't see the bottom. And locals reported that they could see things come out of it at night. These winged, half-human, half-demon creatures. The story goes that that's why they built the castle there, to seal.
Wait, is the pit actually still there inside of the castle if you stay there?
This pit. Now, during construction, there was a prisoner who was sentenced to death, and they offered him a full pardon if they could lower him into the hole and he'd report back what he saw. He said yes, and they lowered him down. After only a minute, he started screaming. They pulled him up, his hair was white, he looked decades older, and he died later that night. And everyone was like,
is this Gandalf? Did Gandalf go and fight? What's the, it starts with an M. You guys know what I'm talking about.
Well, that's our worst fears confirmed. So they quickly built a chapel on top of the hole to seal it. And inside, they painted a mural of a left-handed centaur, which back then was basically a symbol of demons to keep them at bay. Now you can actually visit this place, and it's only an hour from Prague. And you can do tours where they take you inside the chapel and talk about the monsters beneath your feet. Share this with someone you want to
That's so cool. That's pretty interesting. Where the hell is the pit at, though? Like, I would have to know. Let me see. So we do have one comment right here. Someone says, hi, I was born living in Czechia. This castle is a very eerie energy, but there's one even spiritually worse. Okay, he's talking about another one. Bertnese Castle. Maybe we'll come across it. I don't know. I haven't seen these yet, you guys. So scared of bats, they built an entire castle above it. All right, let's check out another one. Outside of Prague. All right. That last one. When you wake up in a medieval castle, convinced you're hearing a ghost. It's got to be a bat, right? Oh my God. It's a rat. It's a freaking mouse. So if you guys don't know, I grew up in a like cabin in the woods, very secluded from pretty much everyone. All 18 years of my life, or 17, I moved out when I was 17, and I would hear so much shit in this house literally every night. It scared the crap out of me, and I guess that's why I'm so interested in stuff like this. Let's go to the next one.
If I were to say the words haunted castle to you, your mind would probably conjure up an image something like this.
Yeah.
This is Chillingham Castle.
I gotta say, this one actually looks a little bit nicer than what a haunted castle would look like.
And even the name sounds like something fantastic I've made up specifically to talk about ghosts. But I assure you this location has a long and storied history. In the 12th century, it was the home to a monastery. By the 13th century, because of increasing incursions from Scottish forces, this castle was built. Edward I, the Hammer of the Scots, led his Scottish campaigns from this location. Over the years, it's been host to royals, been home to several noble families, but now it's probably best known as the home to dozens of ghosts.
Like 13 of them?
But
I know she said dozens, but 13 ghosts? I don't know if you guys ever seen that movie.
Unlike other medieval ghost stories, these ones come to us from a little later in time. The first recorded accounts of the ghosts of Chillingham Castle were penned by Lady Leonora Tankerville. She moved here from the US after marrying the Earl of Tankerville in 1895, during what was something of a golden age for ghost stories. Imagine an American interested in medieval ghosts. The Victorian and Edwardian eras were a time of great modernization and secularism, with major shifts away from religious explanations of the natural world. But the flip side of all this worldly rationalism was that it actually increased interest in the occult and spiritualism. Ghost stories were a hugely popular part of fiction, as people became increasingly interested in the paranormal, seances, and finding different ways of interacting with the dead. Places like Chillingham found themselves in the middle of this spiritualist revival. Sherlock Holmes author and notable believer in the supernatural, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, wrote to Lady Tankerville to commend her reports of the Chillingham ghosts.
Okay.
From the 15th century onwards, the castle had been a seat of the Grey, Bennet, and later Tankerville families. I met with its current owner, married to a member of the original Grey family, Sir Humphrey, who has taken great care in the castle renovations.
Yeah, I gotta say, this castle looks really nice.
This great castle was built really to keep the Scots out of England. It began being one strong tower, and in the 1200s, 1300s, they built 3 more towers. And then they built between the towers for the king to come and stay, to make it into a worthwhile palace. And so in this room here, you see ancient tower there, and this room just
So
built
cool.
between for the king and the rooms above. So it's been like that ever since, really.
You know, with so much battle and action and so much back and forth, you know, on the Scottish borders here, it's really no wonder, I think, that we get so many reports of ghosts.
In the 18th
Ooh, that
century,
looks creepy.
there was
It does
figure
look a
who
little creepy
spent his
in there.
time wailing and moaning and shimmering in blue. Digging between the castle walls to join up 2 rooms, they found the bones of a child and they buried it, and that solved that problem. But when I restored that room, my guests kept saying, "You must have electric fault there because there's a flash of blue on the edge of the door." Well, there's no electrics there at all. We must have left a toe bone or a knee bone.
Jeez.
When I first came here, it had a reputation as a haunted place. There was a lovely priest who was one of the family. He said, "Well, look, I go all around the country getting rid of ghosts, so I'll do that."
Yeah.
And so he came along, and next morning he said, "There's too many, I can't deal with them."
There's too many.
So that sounds fairly creepy. And it seems that the ghosts Leonora documented over 100 years ago are still hanging around and causing trouble for today's residents.
I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you guys believe in ghosts? Like, I believe in, like, energy, spirits. I don't know. It's so interesting, but I feel like everybody knows someone who's had, like, some type of interaction with the supernatural. So it's fascinating.
Welcome to Scotland's most haunted castle, Glamis, home to the ghost of the Grey Lady. In 16th century Scotland, few names carried as much weight as Douglas. Born in 1498, Janet Douglas was sister to Archibald Douglas, who was James V's stepfather and treated him terribly. When the king finally escaped the Douglases' control, his hatred became obsession, and all Janet was guilty of was carrying the name Douglas. She was first married to John Lyon, Lord Glamis, becoming Lady Glamis, and later to Archibald Campbell of Skipness. She lived a
God, what
very
is that, a
quiet life
dungeon?
until 1537, when James V decided to destroy the Douglas line once and for all. Janet was accused of plotting to poison the
Destroy?
king, a charge completely fabricated. Witnesses were tortured, confessions were forced, and even her servants were made to lie under pain of death. Her young son also thrown into prison. Along with treason, she was also accused of witchcraft. In July 1537, she was burnt alive on Castle Hill in Edinburgh,
Oh my
in full
gosh.
view of the city, her young son forced to watch. It's believed after she was killed, her spirit returned here to Glamis, mainly spending her time in this ornate chapel. The custom is now to knock 3 times on the door if you're about to enter the chapel, just to warn her that visitors are approaching. Shout out to Jacqueline for being brave on our tour. Not only is this her favourite place, but she also has a favourite seat. See if you can guess. It's where most people have seen her, and it's this one in the very back corner. So that's the story of the Grey Lady of Glamis Castle. Are
The
you
Grey
brave
Lady.
enough to visit?
Hell yeah, I'm brave enough to visit the most haunted castle in Scotland, the Grey Lady. All right, Lady Janet was my 13th great aunt. We have a descendant of Lady Janet here. I look forward to visiting Glamis Castle. My ancestors lived there going back to the 1300s. Around 1400, the original castle was constructed. The Lyon family has lived there for centuries. They share the castle with at least 9 ghosts. That's crazy. All right.
This is Lep Castle in County Offaly, Ireland, and it's famously known.
Okay, now this looks like a haunted castle. Am I right? This is a haunted castle, 100%.
as the most haunted castle in the world. The building has a horrific history, full of ferocious acts of violence and murder. It is no wonder that this castle is full of spirits, both good and bad. There are many awful stories, and I will discuss a few in this video. Originally, this fortress was built in the year 1250, and it would have been built by the O'Bannon clan. They were an ancient Irish clan who were known to be fierce warriors.
So creepy.
Their allies were the O'Carroll family, a powerful clan whose influence grew over the years. Inevitably, the O'Carrolls seized control of the castle and made it their principal seat. The O'Carrolls were a violent bunch, and the castle saw many turbulent years of feuding and bloodshed. The most infamous murder to happen here took place in a room known as the Bloody Chapel. The year was 1532.
Now, going here at nighttime would probably scare the shit out of me.
The chieftain Mulrooney O'Carroll had just passed away, and there was a bitter dispute about who the next leader of the clan would be. Thaddeus O'Carroll was a priest and was saying mass in the chapel when his brother, Tego O'Carroll, stormed into the room and drove his sword right through Thaddeus. Fatally wounded, he collapsed onto the altar and died right there in front of his family. From then
That's
on,
horrific.
the priest's spirit has haunted the Bloody Chapel, and people passing the castle at night have seen a light suddenly come on in this room. Another story from Lep Castle outlines the mass murder of members of the MacMahon clan who were hired by the O'Carrolls to show them new techniques of warfare. The MacMahons came and trained the O'Carrolls, and after a great feast, they suddenly became very ill and all died. Of course, their food had been poisoned by the O'Carrolls, who thought it wiser to kill them. Of course,
Yeah,
the
kill
ghosts
them
of the
inside of there.
MacMahons haunt the castle to this day. In the 1600s, the daughter of an O'Carroll chieftain married the
There's
English
more?
Captain Derby. Their son, Jonathan Derby, hid a lot of treasure from the Civil War around the castle, and he got 2 servants to help him with this, who he killed afterwards. Of course, this was to guarantee their silence. The most fearsome entity to haunt Lep Castle is known as the Elemental. In the early 19th century, Mildred Derby, who lived at the castle, dabbled in the black arts and released the Elemental. The Elemental is a primitive type of ghost that is known to be unpredictable, and it attaches itself to a particular place, in this case, Lep Castle. It is said to be a thin, gaunt, shadowy figure with an inhumane, decomposing face, accompanied by the smell of a rotting corpse. This is a description by Mildred herself in 1909 when she recounted her meeting with the Elemental. In 1922, workmen renovating Lep Castle made a horrifying discovery. Behind a wall in the Bloody Chapel, they uncovered a secret dungeon.
A body.
Within this
Oh, a
room,
dungeon.
they found numerous skeletons piled upon a wooden spike. It took 3 cartloads to remove these remains. These poor souls were probably prisoners or unsuspected guests of the O'Carrolls, and they would have been dropped through a hidden trapdoor above the oubliette to die a horrific death on the spike below. In 1922,
Alright, this one seems the
castle
creepiest
was
so
burnt
far.
by the IRA and remained a ruin for about 70 years until the Ryan family purchased it in the early 90s. Since then, they have greatly restored the building and have made it a home. It is open to visit on request, and many people have had paranormal experiences here. So let me know, would you visit Lep Castle?
Like, how much does one of these places cost to rebuy? Because I only say that because I'm curious of if somebody actually bought one of these, like, you're pretty much I mean, I know it's a historic landmark, but what are you going to have people come like, how many people do you have to come visit to actually be able to make money off of it? Probably a shit ton. All right, let's move on to the next one. We bought an 18th century castle in France with lots of war history. Watch until end. Okay. 25 acres of land. That's huge. You do not want to be out here at night. Stretches a mile more beyond the trees. So creepy. Is there a cellar? So as big as the floor. Oh! Okay, you gotta show me more than that. Go down into the cellar. Jeez. Somebody says, why is this so cool, though? It is pretty cool. This looks insane. The Haunting of Coolbawn House. Seems like, just from looking at this, all right, I see the hashtag. This is another Irish castle. I know there's a shit ton of castles up in like Scotland, Ireland, but this one looks really freaky.
Is Coolbawn House in County Wexford, and like many old Irish houses, it's home to a haunting story. The house was built by the politician Francis Bruin in the year 1839, and this was a gift for his wife, Lady Catherine Nugent. The building is of the Tudor Revival style, and fine-cut white granite stone was used in its construction. Designed by the architect Frederick Darley, a substantial amount of funds was put into its building, eerie. And because of this, the locals used to call it Bruin's Folly. Bruin was an absentee landlord, and he rarely lived in Coolbawn House. It spent many years vacant, and in 1923, it was burnt down by the IRA.
Look at it.
Although Coolbawn House is now a ruin, its stories still live on. On one stormy night at Coolbawn House, sometime in the 1850s, a young maid was looking out the window when all of a sudden she was struck by lightning and instantly killed. It is said that her face and entire silhouette were etched onto the window glass, and ever since she has haunted Coolbawn House. She has been seen wandering around these ruins, and many have seen the outline of a woman appear in one of the top floor windows. This isn't the only haunting tale associated with this house, so follow me for more.
She's got to be a pretty cool ghost, though, right? Because, like, nobody killed her. It was lightning. You can probably talk to her. You find a cave under a castle in France.
Strangest men, they always seem to find me. Remember that time way back when I kissed a...
You have no idea how excited I would be if I found this. Oh man, I would be so pumped.
guy who ate his women
And also a little
friends.
freaked out. You better not cut the
Now
video
only
off.
dogs will follow me. Is he following? I bite at the hand that feeds me. Slap at the face that
Got a
eats
toad
me.
down there?
Some kind of animal cannibal made
the
impressions on me. Have we met before?
That's fucking creepy.
Only in Michigan.
Jesus. It just says France. Terrifying find. I think so. Somebody says, what if it's a tunnel to the catacombs? That would be crazy. So next one as well. That could be a catacomb, since catacombs are everywhere in France. Yeah, we did like one video of the catacombs quite a bit of time ago. It was about a half a year ago at least. Really, really interesting.
A stunning derelict building in Scotland, hidden and abandoned, but not forgotten by the spirit that haunts it. This is...
It just blows my mind that there's this many castles that are just abandoned.
Crawford Priory, located next to the village of
Wait,
Springfield,
this is the one that we just saw.
lies the remains of an incredible Gothic building. Entering into the estate, passing the old stables, and into the priory, wandering through the rubble and vegetation. Built originally in 1756 and passed on to Lady Mary Lynn's.
This is the same one that we just saw, right? I think. No, wait, hold on. It was Gothic News, Springfield.
Crawford, an extraordinary woman that redeveloped it from a hunting lodge into a spectacular Gothic country home. Through the arched door, you can see an incredible spiral staircase and the remains of the original tiles. Bearing the responsibilities of looking after the estate, her first priority was to build better accommodation for her servants. She was known as outspoken and strong-minded, an independent woman that loved animals. Upon her death, she left a large sum for her parish and servants. Within her will, instructions to protect and care for her animals. Some saying she can still be seen there.
No, it's not. Alright, that's just wild to me that they're so overgrown like this. Someone says, I've been there, loved exploring this place. Scotland has truly amazing views and buildings. I can't wait. I'm going to Scotland pretty soon.
So my friends and I rent this castle every single year.
That's a castle? That looks like it was built in 1990. Am I right? The Peak Castle. This is, I don't know. How old is this castle?
Call it Pink Castle. We rent it because, first of all, look at it. It's literally a Barbie castle, and there's a hot tub, and it's in the middle of nowhere. But the other thing about this place is it's haunted. It's 100% haunted, and I want to tell you about it.
Okay.
So look at Dan. He's having the time of his life. So let me give you the summary of what happened the first time that we stayed here, and that is what let us understand that it's haunted. So there's 3 huge rooms in this house. There's the upstairs room, and then there's 2 downstairs rooms. And in one of the downstairs rooms, there's Ghost Bay.
Ghost Bay.
Okay, so that's Ghost Bay. Alexandra's sleeping. Apparently the door just flew open on its own as I'm trying to tell this story. So the first time we came here, Caitlin slept in that room, the room with Ghost Bay in it, who we now understand is the owner of this house and the daddy. She goes to sleep, and as she's falling asleep, she starts to hear what sounds like a ping pong ball. Like, you know, a ping pong ball, it's a very distinct sound. Ping, ping. And then it starts to change into like matching her heartbeat. And she's like, maybe I'm just drunk, go to bed, whatever. So we wake up in the morning.
Oh, so you were all drunk when you had your experience with the supernatural. All right,
And she's like, yeah, guys, like the craziest thing happened last night. I thought I heard a ping pong ball, but like that's crazy. We had arrived at night. We did not see this. In the morning when we woke up, I saw this out of my room. That's a ping pong table. So I said to her, Caitlin, there's a ping pong table above your room. And she was like, wait, what? So that was the first indication that there's something creepy here. Second, there's a hot tub over here.
Are we sure that like not one of her drunk friends was just like playing ping pong with herself?
Morgan was out of the hot tub by herself, waiting for us to come join her.
It's got a
She's
hot
sitting out
tub,
here
it's
at
not a
the hot
castle.
tub, and this light starts moving, but it wasn't
Totally
windy.
kidding.
And I need you to understand that this is very, very heavy, and it just starts swaying. And Morgan's like, guys, come back out here. Then we're in the living room. We have a fire, okay? The fire goes out. There's no more firewood, and like it's like embers. You know when a fire is out. So we decide to go down to another room. We're like, let's hang out in another room. We go down into the other room, and the light in the closet is just turning off and then turning back on, but not in like a rhythm that would indicate it has something to do with like the light bulb. It's like sporadic, but I keep looking at Caitlin and I'm like, you see that? She's like, I see that. This is, in my opinion, the scariest. We then decide to move up to my room because I have a nice room. We're like, let's go up there. Like, we're just drinking. It's like a girls' weekend. We're just drinking in every room. We
Okay.
go to pass the living room to go up to my room. The fire is ablaze. Ablaze, like crackling. There was no more firewood. It was out. We all look at each other and we're like, fuck. Now, when we came last year, we brought a Ouija board. We were like, let's go.
Oh, don't ever do that. If I have any viewers, I have to know. I'm like really interested in Ouija boards and just the occult, spirituality, like a ton of different stuff. If anyone's ever used one of those before, let me know in the comments below. What was your experience? I was watching a video on them just like a week and a half ago when I was traveling.
Ghost Bay wasn't here last year. It was kind of a bummer. Whatever. Nothing happened last year. Now, this is our 3rd year here, okay? Things that have happened so far. Morgan's closet, the hangers were moving on their own. The lights for the driveway randomly turned on last night. They're motion detected, but then they didn't turn back off. They stayed on all night. And when Jamie was in the shower, the light above her just slowly faded out and she couldn't turn it back on. I love it here.
I don't know. I gotta get some more information on this castle in the French countryside. All right, it's haunted and you bring your dog. So she says he protects us. He's strong. No Ouija boards. That's common knowledge. Yeah. I mean, as far as I've learned, and not through like any religion, but actually researching, you're not supposed to fuck with Ouija boards. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
This is the most terrifying part of Warwick Castle, the jail. Let me show you. The jail was rebuilt to house the prisoners taken at the Battle of Poitiers in 1356. It was drained only by the gully in the floor and ventilated by just one small shaft. And of course it was hardly lit at all, so it would have been very dark in here. We have some wall stocks up here. The bottom half is built into the masonry at each end, but the top half slides up.
How many like prisoners do you think died down there just from starvation?
Down on metal rods, and prisoners would have had their ankles locked in this device and left to manage hanging from the wall as best they could. But the most creepy part of the jail, I think, is in here. In this pit was the harshest treatment. Prisoners were bundled into the small, damp and lightless pit below the ground.
Holy shit.
In this claustrophobic and insanitary space known as an oubliette, which means to forget in French. The wretched prisoner was, as the name implies, forgotten.
All right. Oh, it's massive. All right. I can't wait to hit up some castles when I go to Scotland. Definitely seeing at least 2 or 3 of them. I think outside of Edinburgh. I can't remember which one I have marked out. The not haunted ones, but I'm going to Dunotter, I think. All right, let's move on. In part 1, what's going on with the music? That's creepy. Yeah, it does look like a maze. It's like laid out so... There's like a still shot. Where was it at? Like that. This is crazy. All right, Mercer Castle, also known as Fonthill Castle, is often compared to the Winchester House. Let's see here. I'm not too sure if this one is haunted, but definitely just weird.
So walk into this room. It's absolutely beautiful. Oh my goodness.
An abandoned house with everything left inside.
Oh wow. Check that out.
You know, if you hear one thing inside of this castle, immediately you go to haunted.
This is a huge dining table. Absolutely huge.
It's in northern Italy.
Look at this place. Oh my gosh, that's huge painting.
Yo.
Oh my gosh. Guys, I might not speak much. I just want to show you guys everything that's in here. Would have had an amazing view. And yeah, see, that's where that door I told you guys led right up here.
That's so cool.
It's crazy. There's like an axe sitting here on the table. You can see, I mean, this was elegant. This was royal, it feels like.
Yeah.
You got the big wooden logs on the ceiling. All different kinds of things throughout. And this table is so dusty. This has been abandoned for a long time. Even the details on the chairs. Wow. Here we have a huge fireplace. And you got more of those artifacts just sitting on the top. This place has been so abandoned. Look, this artifact has like a face kind of in it a little bit.
What? I guess maybe.
And then these, I believe, are some sort of chairs, I want to say.
This is some weird looking chairs.
I think this is some sort of, like...
All right, literally zero context. Interesting, though. Don't sleep over in an 800-year-old castle if you don't like ghosts. What? That's your camera lens. I didn't even see anything. It looks like it's like dust particles falling. All right. Somebody says, are you being for real? All right. We'll go ahead and end it there. Haunted castles. Seems like most of them were in like Scotland, Ireland for the most part. Had a couple in, we had some in Italy, France. I don't know. If you guys enjoyed the video, hit the like button on the way out. Let me know if you want me to cover more haunted areas throughout Europe. It's pretty interesting for me, but if you guys don't like it, we won't do it. All right. Getting out of here. I'll see you guys later. Peace.